Hey guys, Lane here with Haunted by Waters. Today I want to share with you a little bit of a different topic. This isn't going to be a fishing adventure like you're used to. This is going to be more specific to filming fly fishing. So if you're looking for those epic slow motion casting and fish shots, this might not be the best video for you. I mean, I'm still going to try to include some of those because it's going to emphasize my point, but this is going to more focus on something that I'm passionate about. A year ago, almost today, I posted our first video on YouTube and it changed my life. Not in the financial, I'm going to sell you a LUT pack or some sort of course type of way. This is more of a spiritual transformation.
I need coffee.
All right, so in a couple days, we're gonna go fishing. That means I need to pack all the film gear. This is typically a very stressful time for me. When we're out there, I don't have the luxury of just running to a store or running back home in order to grab the gear that I need in any given situation. So I have to be very specific about what I choose to bring. The elements are harsh, so I need to pack the gear in an appropriate manner that I don't damage any of my investments that I've made. And I also need to bring gear to capture any unexpected moment that may come up. So I thought, let's do this together. I'm going to go through and show you what I pack for this upcoming trip, and we'll see how it goes. All right, if you're going to be filming fishing, then you're going to need a camera. For a long time, my primary camera that I used was my phone. I had it with me. It had a decent camera, and I would capture video. If you're going to be posting to something like YouTube, you're going to want to make sure that you're shooting it in the horizontal position as opposed to the vertical, unless you're doing shorts, posting to Instagram or Facebook. For me, a camera is a great starting point. It'll allow you to quickly get into capturing those moments and provide pretty good image without a real big expense. You already have the phone. It's pretty simple to use. You already know the settings. Just go in and start playing around and seeing if you can capture an image you like. Once you've moved on and are ready to start really filming your fishing adventure, or you're looking for something that's a little bit more weatherproof than your phone, you're going to look at an action camera. For me, I selected the DJI Action 4, and I have loved the image quality that has come out of this. It does have a cage which pretty much lives on here no matter what, just to protect it from falls. An accessory that I did purchase and put on is this VND filter. At first, I started adjusting all the settings and tried to get that cinematic look, but I found that I wasn't happy with the image quality. Instead, most of the settings are auto with adjustments to the exposure compensation and the sharpness. I brought that down a little bit just because I found that it did overexpose and things looked a little too sharp for my liking. With this VND on the front of it, it helps add that more cinematic quality that I liked. I have been really happy with this. One feature that is really beneficial is the way that it mounts. I can quickly pull out a tripod like I have here. I can just set up a tripod and it magnetically clips on there, and before you know it, I'm filming myself, or I can get a selfie view, or I can get that up close underwater fish view. Quickly just pops off and I can go ahead and throw it on the next mount. When I am fishing, I want the camera to be out of the way. So I tend to use a neck mount like this. And I place it right here on my chest and I keep the camera rolling. One of the things that I have found that's nice again is you can unclip from here, quickly go back to the tripod, back on here. without having to really fiddle around. While I'm fishing, this camera tends to live right here on my neck. That way I'm ready for any of the action that will occur. With it on my neck, one of the things that I started using is the pre-capture feature. So rather than recording a ton of footage that you're not going to use or potentially missing that epic fish eat. Oh, I forgot to hit record. You can set this up so that it's constantly on a 15, 30 second, or I think it's even as short as a 5-second loop. So it'll have everything pre when you push that record button. So if a fish bites, you push the button, you have the 15 seconds beforehand. That's what I use. Now, a downfall of that is you tend to use more batteries because the camera is constantly on. I purchased one of these DJI battery packs. This has 3 additional, 1 in the camera. So 4 batteries tend to last me an entire day of fishing. I'm really happy with this. It does have a plug so that you can easily charge it at the end of the day. It has LED lights to show you when things are ready to go. These 2 things come with me every time I go fishing. I can have plenty of power. I have a neck harness to hold it while I'm fishing, and then the camera itself to capture the epic footage. So for this upcoming trip, I'm definitely bringing my DJI Action 4 and the battery pack, as well as the neck harness. In fact, these probably will just immediately go into my FlyFish bag so that I don't forget them. And I will make sure that they are charged up and ready to go on day 1. Now, as far as the tripod goes, I have mixed feelings with it. This one is a Ulanzi. It can expand really high up. That's almost touching the 9-foot ceiling that I have here and just sitting on top of my table. So this is definitely a really nice travel tripod. I went ahead and put a little connector on there so that it can connect to my action camera. What I've found is that I haven't been using this as much. If I am going to be setting up a static shot, I find that I'm using my other cameras. If I was going on a solo film trip where I'm trying to film myself, this would definitely be coming with me. But in this case, I'm going to be fishing with other people and trying to capture the moment with them. So this probably won't make it in the bag this trip, but this is definitely something that I bring every time I fish solo. Now that I've covered the action camera, the next question always comes to mind is what type of other shots am I looking to get? In this case, I know we're going to be at a river, we're going to be floating the river, but we're also going to be camping. So for me and the way I like to storytell, I'm going to need to get a lot of other shots beside us just on the water fishing. I'm going to want to get us doing camp setup, maybe potentially traveling down any sort of road or just in the car shots. For these types of shots, I like to use the Osmo Pocket 3. This thing is so small and it has such a great quality image that it is hard to not bring it on any sort of professional trip. In fact, I even find that on my solo fly fishing trips where I'm just going by myself just for a day on the water, it's light enough that I can just throw it in my bag. If I use it, great. If not, it wasn't like I added a ton of weight or needed to bring a lot of accessories. This is the creator's combo, so it does come with a battery, a tripod grip, and a microphone. One of the things that, a wireless microphone, one of the things that I do find that I will use this for is POV shots as opposed to putting my action camera on a tripod. I find that as I'm walking, the built-in gimbal that is on this thing allows me to get super clean footage while still, showing that appearance that I'm walking to a different destination. This thing will live in my bag probably until the next one comes out, in which case I will probably be purchasing it. But for right now, there is no complaints. As far as the audio goes, the built-in microphones are actually decent. You can run them through any AI processing now and make them sound really good, but I'm not gonna lie, just even if you're not using the wireless mic, the built-in microphones on this are well worth it. So I would say that if you are beyond the phone, beyond the action camera, and you're looking to make a little bit more of a cinematic video, the Osmo Pocket 3 is something that I would consider picking up just because of its versatility. Now, one of the downfalls of it is that you are limited to a wider field of view. You're not able to zoom in, so don't expect that you're going to be able to get necessarily those epic dry fly eats in close proximity, right? The view is going to be farther out. It's going to be wide. Again, this is more of an establishing shot, or in those close quarters, trying to get a day in a life type angles. So this is a great addition, and I highly recommend it. Bringing the action camera, my phone, and the Osmo Pocket 3 would be plenty for this trip. I would be able to capture all the shots that I wanted, but I'm not going to get that special sauce that I like. So because of that, I'm also going to end up bringing my FX30. Now, is this a little overkill for a YouTube video? Probably, but remember, my passion is filming, and I really enjoy the videography and documentary style films that I put out. And so for me, having this flexibility and freedom to build out a camera rig that's going to meet all the needs in order for me to catch those shots is important. So I will be bringing my FX30, and I'll probably do a large majority of filming of other people with that camera. It has been my workhorse. I am very happy with it. I have no complaints. It hasn't overheated, and the form factor makes it small that I can fit it into tight spaces. It doesn't add a lot of weight. I will bring 3 additional batteries, including the one that's in the camera, because while its battery life is very nice, I do tend to burn through the batteries. I have the screen brightness set to always sunny so that I can really see it the best way possible. And it does add some weight to my gear because there are other accessories that I need to bring, including lenses, microphones, and cables in order to power and make sure I can get the most out of bringing this camera. So I'm making the commitment that I'm bringing an action cam, an Osmo Pocket, and the FX30. That means I have a lot of gear. So what kind of bag am I going to start to pack this in? While I have the Wandered Provoke, not sponsored, and the Wandered Rogue Sling, again, not sponsored, I find that having both of these puts a lot of weight on my physical body. So I will probably end up bringing my Pelican case, which I'll discuss later, and this sling bag. Because I'm bringing the FX30, the sling pack adds an additional feature as it becomes a way that I can stabilize while shooting handheld. I can sling this around and put it in front of me and rest the camera on it. And it just gives me that extra stability that I'm looking for in order to get that crisp shot. With that being said, I need to bring some lenses. The FX30 is a great machine, but it also needs specific lenses to complete specific tasks. I have a plethora of lenses, and for this specific camping trip, I need to pick out which ones I think will give me the most versatility while not adding a ton of weight. And I want to make sure that every lens I bring has a specific purpose and that I will use it. While 1 or 2 extra lenses that you don't end up using may not seem like a big deal, when you're hiking into the woods or you're traveling on an airplane, every little bit of weight counts and adds up. So the first lens that I always bring with me and that usually lives on my camera while I'm traveling is my Sony 11mm f1.8. This little lens is so versatile when I'm trying to capture those in-the-moment shots. It helps break down the form factor of my FX30 to make it nice and small and inconspicuous. If I'm not using the Osmo Pocket 3, I usually have this lens on the FX30, and this is what I'm using to catch those in-the-moment shots. Car shots are also really nice from this because you can get a wide enough field of view to view everyone in the car without it looking really distorted or fisheye-like. So I will be bringing this lens. This is also the smallest and the lightest, so it's easiest for me to say I'm going to be bringing hands down. If we were to go to the other end of the spectrum, I will be bringing my Sony 70-200 G Master. This is the Mark I version. Now, for a while, I had a different zoom lens that I was using, but I found that the aperture wouldn't get low enough. With this having an aperture of 2.8, I can get those lower light shots with that blurry background that I am looking for in those far away scenes. I have found that this is a huge investment because it not only adds a ton of weight, this thing is big, this thing is bulky, but the quality that comes out of it, plus the stabilization that's in it, gives me just the cleanest, most cinematic shot, and I'm very happy with it. So that will be coming on the camp trip as well. Talk about trying to catch really good dry fly eats, or you're fishing with someone and you need to capture them, but they tend to get nervous anytime they're on camera, being able to be farther away but get that beautiful shot is just worth it. So the added weight, the added space that it takes up in the bag, totally worth it in my opinion. The next lens, which I would say is just an absolute beast, is my Sony 16 to 55 G Master lens. This thing is wide enough that you can use it on pretty much any shot while you're walking around, getting ready, want to show some scenery and everything, but then it gives you enough of a punch that you can zoom in so that if you're across the way a little bit, or say 20 yards out, you can do that zoom in and not necessarily miss the shot. So being able to have this versatility in this lens has just been remarkable. F-stop down to 2.8 so I can get some of those low light, the sun rising or the sun setting shots. So this will also be coming with me as well. Now I do have some other lenses that I've considered bringing. I do have some anamorphic lens options, but because of the manual zoom and the high-paced action that tends to happen when you're filming multiple people fishing at the same time, especially if there's multiple hookups at the same time, manual zoom is a little bit unreliable. Not to mention, if I'm trying to keep the form factor small while I'm waiting on the water, I don't necessarily have a monitor on at all times, and so being able to see the de-squeezed image on that tiny LCD screen can be really hard to pull focus. In other words, I'd rather have an autofocus lens that allows me to capture all the shots. We all know that fish aren't the best actors and they don't perform on cue, so making sure that I capture the shot is much better than missing the shot and hoping that it happens again. Between the 11mm all the way up to 200, I feel like I'm able to capture anything that is going to occur. So that would be that more traditional cameras that I'm going to bring. So I'm going to bring the action camera, I'm going to bring the Osmo Pocket 3, and I'm going to bring my FX30. One of the accessory cameras that you can go ahead and add is your drone. Now, you'll see from the videos, I love taking these epic drone shots of the area. I use the DJI Action 4 Pro, mostly because of its collision avoidance. I am not a hardcore drone filmer. I just really find that when you're out in nature, getting that different perspective really adds. In our last video, I tried doing some more hover footage of Kellen while he was fishing. I'm going to continue to work on it. I have the Fly More combo, so it does come with some extra batteries, though the battery life on just one battery, which is I find is between 35 and 40 minutes, is really great. The controller that I use has the built-in screen, which has been plenty bright even in the sunny days. So this is really a benefit and adds to that epic B-roll shot or that different angle that you can't necessarily get handheld. With that being said, I have found that with an action camera and a super long tripod like this Ulanzi one, you can extend it and hold it up and do certain motions that will make it appear as though you are shooting from a drone. So if you are in an area that doesn't allow you to fly drones, you can mimic and kind of show some of these sweeping shots as if you were shooting with a drone. So keep that in mind. If you end up saving space because you can't bring your drone due to legal restrictions or budget restrictions, you can fake that by using a tripod. Now that we have the video capture aspect of this handled, we need to talk about capturing good, clean audio. What can I do with what I have so far that I'm allowed to capture the most amount of people, the best ambient sounds, and be able to quickly switch between different setups without a lot of work? The Osmo Action 4, while having okay in-body microphones, works really well when I pair it with the DJI Mic 2 that comes with the Osmo Action or Osmo Pocket 3 Creator Combo. By pairing these two, I now have a wireless mic that I can have either on myself or quickly put on the person that's captured the fish and get really crisp audio. That leaves the Osmo Pocket 3 without any microphones. To solve that, I purchased the Osmo Mic Minis, which is two wireless microphones. One is right here. And I use this paired internally with the Osmo Pocket 3. This allows me to capture up to 2 different people wirelessly when I'm filming with the Osmo Pocket 3. If I'm filming on my FX30, I then use my Rode Wireless Pros. This has a transmitter that plugs directly into my camera. While I could do that with the minis, I find keeping it separate keeps me organized. This has 2 wireless mics as well that I can put onto 2 individuals. Now, if I'm filming with a large group, something that I can do is keep the Osmo and the FX30 close by while having the 4 different microphones out on 4 different individuals, allowing me to capture audio from 4 different sources at the same time using the 2 different cameras. And this is all happening wirelessly. It's a little bit confusing as I explain it right now, but believe me, it works. Now, if I'm looking to capture more run and gun audio, I will use this Sony mic. I believe this is the SM something B. I'll put the link down below. But this mic allows me to change the direction that the mic is receiving. So I can either choose to have it act as a shotgun mic, pick up the audible sounds that are coming from behind the microphone or what's happening all around. This is great for catching ambient sounds or again on run and go. So this is so small that it just lives in there. I'll throw it quickly on the hot shoe of my FX30 if I'm looking to get a quick sound clip or something's happening in the moment and I need to quickly get some audio. This is more for on dry land. I tend to prefer wireless mics hooked up when we are on the water, just because of the distance and my inability to get to locations quickly when I'm wading through the water. Also, if I have a shotgun mic on and I'm walking to someone that caught a fish, I tend to pick up a lot of that sound of me splashing as I'm walking through the water. So this mic is used. It does live in my sling. It's just more for the on land and quick action shots or catching those ambient sounds. Now, part of my job and one of the things that causes me the most anxiety is making sure that I'm going to be able to capture any moment possible, right? I don't want my inability I don't want the lack of equipment to stop me from getting something that I feel could be really meaningful and worthwhile to adding to the story. So there are a couple other things that I will bring with me that I don't bring every single time, but that I find add value and are worth the wait. The first one would be my monitor. Now this is a Portkeys monitor. I have purchased a small rig battery that pops on the back. I don't use this all the time, but I find in really bright situations or situations where I have a little bit more time to set up, connect the HDMI cable, and really hone in that shot that I want, whether that be something atmospheric, the landscape, or I want to get an in-person interview. Being able to look at false colors, de-squeeze, or just see a larger picture of that image helps me make sure that everything's in focus and that I really capture the moment that I want. This is also a camping trip. When I think of camping, I think of that epic campfire, everybody sitting around with the trees. I want to capture something like that. I want to capture the moments and not be limited to what my camera's capabilities are. So I am going to bring a small rig, small light. This thing is powerful. I'm going to connect it with a V-mount battery. It does have an internal battery, which gets you about 40 minutes, I'd say, on highest setting, maybe a little longer if you're lower down. But this will just add a little bit of a key light or a backlight so I can kind of fill and make sure that I can capture those moments. At the very least, it has a handle on it. So if I need help getting around the truck, loading up equipment, or we're trying to, set up anything and it's pitch black dark out, this is a nice little thing to have so that I can see where I'm working. So I will be bringing this. It doesn't add a ton of weight, so it will fit in my carry bag. And be joining me on this camping trip. I think it's going to add a lot of value. Now, I briefly talked about it, but let's dive in a little bit deeper. For my main rolling carry case, I use a Pelican 1550. I really enjoy this case. It's got padded inserts. I'm able to fit my laptop in the lid. And because it's a roller style carrier, I can move it from place to place without putting a lot of strain on my back. Again, this is a trip where I'm going to be bringing more gear because we're doing multiple days filming. We're going to be on location, so I need to bring extra supplies, and I don't necessarily want to be carrying that weight on my back. But this isn't the most convenient to get things out in the moment. For that, I'll use my sling bag that I can throw on my back. It fits right beside my other fishing sling. I can swing it around, quickly get out camera or gear that I need. So between the two of these will be what I bring on the airplane. I don't have to worry about anything getting lost by checking. I don't have to worry about anything being damaged. All my gear will be coming with me. The Pelican case also helps guarantee that my equipment won't be damaged when I throw it in a drift boat, the back of a truck, or if it's on the floor at the campsite. An unintended consequence that I also love about these is that they give you a nice flat workspace when you close the lid. So if I want to set my camera down, work on something, rig something up, I have this nice flat surface as opposed to setting it on the dirty ground or potentially wet, muddy ground. The quality of this Pelican case, as well as all my Wandered bags, is just superb. Again, not sponsored. I just love their products, and I have no complaints so far. I almost forgot. Okay, I bought this Anker 140 watt small charger. I mean, look at this thing. It's like the size of a deck of cards. This plugs in, it's got an LCD screen, but this can plug in my 16-inch MacBook Pro. Has two other USB-C ports in addition to that, and a regular USB port. So I can charge all my equipment really fast right off of this. Just take some USB-C cables, and I'm able to make sure that all of my equipment while I'm on the go is powered up. And it's just this tiny brick. I mean, this to me was a huge travel game changer. It has a little bit of weight, but man, rather than carrying 4 or 5 of these or some of the bigger setups that I've seen, and having the option to plug in 4 different devices at the same time, I can't talk about this enough. I would recommend picking up one of these when you start to get more equipment, or even if you just want this at home. Again, this is an epic game changer, and I'm really happy about it. So now that I've got everything laid out, packed away, next step is just to get on the plane. So I'm really happy with the loadout that I've got. I feel confident that I'm going to be able to tell the story that I'm looking to create. Next part is just to get on the water and start fishing. So thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. It means a lot to the channel. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I do read them, and I would be happy to answer. And as always, tight lines.